Welcome back to my channel, Inner Work by Joel. I am Joel Gibbs. Today we will learn the psychology of love and why do we fall in love. In recent days, many of us have been deeply saddened by the tragic incident at 𝗘𝗆𝗃 near Pune, where a young man lost his life, and the case has raised many questions and investigations are still going on. Beyond the legal process, it also prompted people to ask difficult psychological questions. How can two people who once loved each other end up in such a tragic situation? Does love simply disappear? Was it ever love? What happens in our mind and emotions when relationships change? Today we are not going to hear or to judge. We are not here to judge or speculate or about any specific case. Instead, we are going to explore this timeless question through the lens of psychology. Why do people fall in love? And what helps love endure? So, I've been thinking about this question. What is love? Many people think love is simply an emotion. Psychology tells us it's much more than that. I think it is a combination of multiple things: biology, psychology, emotions, behavior, attachments, trust, shared experience, past experience, childhood experiences. Love usually doesn't happen instantly. So while attraction can occur in seconds, genuine love develops over time through repeated positive interactions where one is able to be vulnerable and one can stick to their commitments. Real love is less about finding the perfect person, more about building a healthy connection. So then people try to figure this out, whether it's a brain chemistry or is it something that is happening in the background. So let's look at it from what happens biologically. Alright, so when we fall in love, our brain becomes incredibly heightened, active, dopamine kicks in. And when dopamine kicks in, it creates excitement, you feel pleasure, you are motivated. Suddenly you start doing the things that you didn't do for a long time because now this person is there in your life. You want to make things possible for them. You want to make things possible for you. At the same time, oxytocin gets kicked in. Oxytocin helps in bonding with this person. It strengthens your feelings. You trust more. You build emotional closeness. You build affection. And you seek positive interactions with this person. So there is also some changes in serotonin. May also be contributing to constant thinking about that person at the early stages of the attraction. Most of the young kids do that when they fall in love. They want to talk to that person for long hours. They want to be with that person for long hours. Hence, they would bunk college, schools. This explains why new love often feels exciting, energetic, and even a little obsessive. But chemistry alone cannot sustain a relationship. Alright, psychological researchers show that we often draw on people who share similar values, goals, beliefs, or lifestyles. It is not about being identical. It is about feeling understood. When couples share important values, communication becomes easier and conflict is often easier to resolve. Shared purposes creates emotional security. Now there's another one, familiar matters, when familiarity kicks in. All right, psychologists describe something called mere exposure effect. Okay, the more we see someone in a positive situation, the more comfortable and familiar they become. That's why many such relationships begin as friendships. Love often grows where people consistently feel safe, respected, and accepted. That's all what we want in a relationship. Emotional safety builds love. People rarely fall in love because someone is perfect. They fall in love because they feel emotionally safe. When people listen without judgment, respect each other's opinion, support us during difficult moments, keeps their promises on a regular basis or their commitments, we begin to trust them more. Trust creates emotional safety, and emotional safety allows us to love and grow more. So without trust and even a stronger attraction eventually struggles. So your attachment style is also there. Now I would like to talk about a little bit about how attachment styles shape our relationships. Our childhood experiences often influence how we love as adults. People with secure attachments usually communicate openly and trust their partners. Those with anxious attachment may fear abandonment and constantly seek reassurance. People with avoidant attachment may struggle with emotional closeness and prefer distance. Understand these patterns isn't about labeling ourselves, it's about recognizing them so we can build healthier relationships. So love, as we explore it more, is more of a choice. All right, it is a feeling, and we would like to choose that feeling again and again. So initially you will have the butterflies in the stomach. All right, that's your early attraction. If you're in a relationship in the beginning stage, that's the honeymoon phase. All right, healthy relationships are formed or survive, because of the daily choices you make. So what are these daily choices? You choose to be committed, you choose to be kind, you choose to be honest, you choose to be respectful, you choose to be forgiving, you choose to communicate instead of assuming, you choose to work through difficulties and not giving the other one a silent treatment or ignoring them or giving them one form of punishment where you deprive them of some emotional requirement. So what you need to do is, real love is more about choosing positive experiences with your person and staying consistent with them. So now what happens when the love dies or when love changes? So not every relationship is meant to last. All right, and sometimes people grow in different directions. Sometimes trust is broken, sometimes expectations change, and psychology teaches us that the ending of a relationship respectfully is healthier than allowing resentment, deception, or unresolved conflict to grow. Learning to communicate honestly with each other during the painful time is one of the greatest signs that you are in a healthy place and you're emotionally mature enough to deliver the bad news that you want to give to your partner. So, why do people fall in love? So, is it because our brains reward connections? Because we seek belongingness, maybe? Because we feel emotionally safe? Because we share our experiences? because human beings are wired to connect. Yeah, we're social animals. That's the one thing. So the recent tragedy at Lohargarh Fort reminds us how deeply relationships affect our lives. While the legal system determines the facts of the case, we can all reflect on an important lesson. Healthy love is built on trust, honesty, respect, showing emotional maturity, and open communication. Understanding the psychology of love doesn't help us find better relationships. It helps us become better partners. If you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones. Okay, I wish you all the best. God bless. Remember, the deepest relationship begins with understanding yourself.